Hi everyone, it's Kay of Kay's Creative Home. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making this wreath where it says home is where my cat is. And I'm going to be using a working frame, that beige mesh, and then I have some green and cream mesh. And under this pile over here, I have some ribbons that I've already cut. I got pink. I got a pink that has like a little wreath around it that says welcome. Then I have that plaid and beige. So we're going to put all this together and make a beautiful wreath for your home, for all of you cat lovers. So I like to get everything prepped beforehand. So the first thing I'm going to do is untangle this mesh. And then I'm going to do the, they call it scrunch method. I'm doing is rolling each end and then scrunching it up the center. And I need to find out the names of these different techniques so I can start using them. And that way when you see it, you're looking for it somewhere else, you'll know it. So I'm going to do that with all of my mesh. I have 10-inch mesh and I cut strips 20 inches long. And I'm sorry, I usually leave some things for the video, even though I do things beforehand. I leave a few for the video so you can see how it's done. And this time I got to working and kept forgetting to save some because you see all my ribbon is already cut. I forgot to save some of that too. So today I have this cream mesh, and it really had some rough edges, so it was really tangling. But didn't stop us. We're going to go ahead and do these curls and scrunch them together and get all of them ready to go on our wreath. All right, I'll be right back with the next step. So the next thing I like to do is dovetail the ends of my ribbon tails, and I do that by simply folding it in half and then going down about 3/4 inch to an inch and cutting up toward the outer corner. And that's how I make my dovetails. If you like more instruction on that, I do have a video listed in the description box on how I make my dovetails, how I make my wreath tails. So alright, so I'm going to do that with all of these and get them all ready for this wreath. The reason I like to do things ahead of time is that I always say when you start doing things repetitively like this, you kind of get a rhythm down and it helps you to do it a little bit faster. So I like to prep everything ahead of time. This ribbon is all from Sam's Club. If you're familiar with the packaging there, you can see it. I'm really happy with all of it, but this plaid one I'm doing right now is a little thin. So I think next time I buy their ribbon, I'm going to try to avoid the ones that are thinner. It works, but I don't know, it doesn't feel the same. So I prefer to work with the heavier ribbons. So I'm going to get these last few cut here, and then we'll be ready for the next step. So now that I've dovetailed all the ends of my ribbon and I've actually folded them in half, now I'm just putting the two ribbons together that I'll be using together. So in this case, I've put the tan with that plaid. That plaid is really pretty though. I know that's why I got it, because it's green and pink and blue and cream. It's just like the perfect colors for my sign. So I'm going to finish placing these two together. If you look down at the bottom left of the screen, you can see I've already put together the pink ones like this, so they'll be ready to go on our wreath. All right, let's get ready for the next step. So I'm going to start this wreath by building what I call my foundation layer. And what I do is start with my 10-inch mesh again and gather that in, leaving about an inch sticking out there. So I'm going to put that in my first pipe cleaners, and I'm starting on the top round of the wreath. And then I'll take a zip tie and tie down the cut edge there just to keep it from unraveling, I should say. And, ended up coming out. So we don't want that to happen. So I just put my zip tie, and you see I put it in wrong. Went to slide it through, and it went through really smooth. If you don't hear that zip sound, you haven't put it in correctly. Flip that zip tie over and put it in from the other side, the flattened side. And then when you pull it through, you'll hear that zip sound, and you know you've gotten it in tight. So what I did now is tuck both ends under on the sides, and then you saw I took my hands and kind of just smoothed it out. And I'll do that again. As I'm smoothing it out, I'm tucking the ends underneath. And then I just added into my next set of pipe cleaners there. And I am pulling it out 10 inches at a time and adding it to my Wreath frame there, going through each set of pipe cleaners. So I finished that top round. I'm going to put this last one in. And then I'm actually going to go down to the pipe cleaner that's below it. You can see I'll take a little piece right there and add it in the one that's below it. And I'm going to tie that one in. And then I'll be ready for my bottom round. You can see how close. I always pick one that has a bottom pipe cleaner real close to it, so I don't waste a lot of mesh just going from that top round to the bottom round. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom round. Go around tucking in the ends, pulling it out 10 inches, and adding it into at the next pipe cleaners. All right, so we're going to finish this round and get ready for the next step. So I've just filled in that last pipe cleaner, and now I'm cutting my mesh, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did at the beginning. Take a zip tie and tie down that end to keep it from unraveling. So I've clipped it with my zip tie gun, and you can see there, that's where I tied it down. So of course, one of the things we always do with our Wreath is to fluff it out. So I'm taking the mesh I put on there and bubbling it out so that it'll stay nice and full and be a nice foundation for what I add on top, so your Wreath won't get mashed in. And I'm just going to work my way around this circle, doing the top and bottom layers. And I'm just pulling it out, but trying to keep the sides still tucked under. All right, so we're going to finish this and be ready for our next step. So the next thing I want to do is begin adding my ruffles and ribbon tails. So I take the tail, and at the center of it, I scrunched it together, placed it on top of a ruffled mesh there, and then added it into one of my pipe cleaners. And I'm starting on the top round. Twisted that pipe cleaner tightly and cut the end. You want to be really careful when you're cutting those pipe cleaners. Your scissors are long. It's so easy to cut into your mesh or cut into your ribbon. Just cut into something else that's not supposed to be cut. So be careful with that. So again, I'm adding the ribbon to the top of my ruffled mesh and adding it in. And once I kind of twist it a few times, I cut it, and then I tuck it in so that that pointed wire won't be sticking up. Then I kind of fan out the mesh and help to curl the ribbon tails a little bit. And you see, for like the pink one there, I did it on that left side. I won't do the right side until I finish adding in the next ruffle, because I always say when you add in the next one, it just gets mashed down again. So there again, I've gathered my ribbon tails in the center, put it on top of my ruffled mesh. Find my NYX pipe cleaner there that got a little hidden. So I'm going to open that up, add my mesh and my ribbon inside, and tighten it in. When you first do that first twist, pull it as tightly as you can so that it's held in securely. Okay, I'm going to work my way around this top round, and then we're going to make it through the bottom round doing the same thing. If you're enjoying the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with others. And if you're not a family member, don't forget to hit that button and ring the bell so you'll be notified when new videos are released. Okay, let me finish this round. Again, I thank you all for all the time you have been spending with me and for all our new family members that have joined. We really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments. I even take just general comments and suggestions, anything you want to add. So I've just added my first bundle to the bottom round of the wreath, and adding it in, and you'll see I added the first one in where there's one right above it. So I have a green above it, and I'm doing the pink below it, which is the opposites. And then if I didn't mention that before, all the way around the top, I just did the opposites of each color. So you can see there, because it's lined up, you get the opposites there. And as you work your way around the wreath, you pretty much get an opposite under each one. And that's just kind of how I like doing mine, so that it's not all green together, not all pink together. So at any rate, that's how I'm going to make my way again around this bottom round. And I'll be right back with the next step. Alright, the next step I like to do is make my bow, and this is a pretty full wreath, so I'm going to make a pretty full fluffy bow. And I've started with the tan color there because it's a wider ribbon, and it's my darkest ribbon, and so I like to have my dark ones at the bottom of the bow to kind of, again, give it some foundation. It'll also be the kind of the background to the bow, so that my bow, since the same colors are used in the wreath, my bow won't just completely get lost in the wreath. It'll kind of have a backdrop to it. Alright, so I'm going to start with a 6-inch tail, and then I'm doing 6-inch loops. And for this bow, because I want it to be really full, I'm going to do 4 loops of each color that I use. And so I've done, again, 6-inch tails, 6-inch loops. The next color, which I use with the tan on the wreath, is this plaid, and again a 6-inch tail, but now about a 5.5-inch loop, because I want to come in a little bit each time to make my bow. It adds to the fullness because you can see each loop in individually when you do this, and it's it adds to the fullness, and it just makes everything visible. So I've got that one done, and you see I'm kind of spacing it out. I try to do all my tails kind of like top and bottom, and my loops toward the sides, kind of how I'm making my bows now. Still haven't found my signature bow. I'm still thinking about, what I like the best. I think I'm still playing with different things, trying to decide what I want to be my signature bow. If you notice, most people who make wreaths, they have this one bow that they just like to make all the time. and I call it their signature bow. Alright, so I've got the next layer started, and these loops are going out to 5 inches now, because each time I'm coming in a little bit. And when I get to my next ribbon, which will be the pink, each of those loops, the tails are still 6 inches, but when I get to the next one, each of those loops will be about 4.5 here for this pink one. My tail 6 inch, and then my loops about 4.5. Each time I'm just coming in a little bit more. Tails are 6 inches because they will be, like I said, they're sticking out top and bottom. They're not blended in with the loops, so they won't be covering anything. And I can also cut them to the length I need them once I complete my bow and add it to the wreath. Sometimes you need that tail or whatever to be just a little filler for a spot. Alright, so I've got my zip tie here, and is this the one? Okay, I've got it on here, and I spun it around to the back, and now I'm adding my pipe cleaner in there, and that's what I'll use to attach it to my wreath. And shape the bow a little bit before I pull it snugly, pull that zip tie snugly. And now I'm shaping my bow a little bit more, being careful to hold it in the center, because as I'm yanking on these, I don't want them to, pull the loop from the other side. So I'm just going to shape it up a little bit, try to space everything out. And then I'm going to use my zip tie gun to get that zip tie super tight, hold it in place really snugly, and get that bow ready to be added to my wreath. Alright, I'll be right back. So the next thing I want to do is add my zip tie mounts to the back of my sign. I finally remembered the name. They're called zip tie mounts, and you can find them on Amazon, and there'll also be a link in my description box. So, you learn something new every day. I'm going to add a little dab of hot glue to just kind of give them double security, make sure they stay on. And I've been adding my mounts in the centers, center of top and bottom, center of the sides. I'm not sure that's always working for the way I want to add my signs. I'm adding this voiceover after I've finished making the wreath, so I can say I had a difficult time getting this sign to stay put like I wanted it. So I think the next time I do a sign, I'm going to be trying those mounts in the corners. And I said I have to go back and look and see what other wreath makers do, because like I said, I had a hard time getting it to stay still more than usual. And so I want to try it in each corner and see if that makes a difference. And I believe it will. So if you want to try that, if you want to make this wreath, you want to try that, please do, because I think it'll make a difference. This is a Dollar Tree sign, so you may be able to find it at your local Dollar Tree store. And I'm going to place some sealer on the sign. I usually don't seal my wreaths, but I will place some sealer on these signs because they're MDF board, and I don't think they fare well with outdoor weather over a long period of time. Okay, you see I got the mounts on there. I'm adding my pipe cleaners, and again I'm doing 2 because the mesh always gives me enough to do 2 wreaths, so I always do 2 at a time. And so I'm going ahead and do 2 signs, getting everything ready. You see I've got 2 bows there ready. Alright, let me finish this, and then I'm going to be adding this to my wreath. Alright, I've allowed my sign to sit a while and let that mount get secure so I won't pull it off while I'm working. And now I'm just going to try to weave this pipe cleaners past all this stuff on this wreath to get it to the back side so I can secure this sign on here. I'm trying to put it in the bottom right hand corner, and then that bow you can see is kind of the upper left hand corner of my wreath. And it's going to just take me a minute, get it secured, and then I'm going to secure the bow. So again, if you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share with others. And again, if you're not a family member, don't forget to hit that button and ring the bell so you can be notified as new videos are released. I'd asked a while ago which videos y'all wanted to see next, and nobody commented, so I've done this pet wreath. And last week I did a little sign for the garden, which was a little rail wreath. I thought that thing was so cute. I'm going to be making more of those because they're so easy, and it's something, you know, especially for beginners, it's something really easy for you to try and get your feet wet trying to make your wreaths. And I think they'll be great to try as we begin preparing, you know, what I'm going to be making for the fall and for the holiday season at the end of the year. I want to make sure I include some things that everybody feels comfortable with making. Alright, so I am trying to secure this bow on here. I just love a good fluffy bow. Don't know why, just something about them. They're just so pretty. They think they add so much to your wreath. Just, you know, a few loops and you got something really cute there. So let me get all of this done and give you a quick glimpse at the end. Be right back. So the last step I'm going to do here is dovetail the ribbon tails on my bow. And again, like I said, you can clip them at any length you really need them to be on your wreath, because it could be a nice filler for a spot. I got, what, 8 of them. I always make sure I count as I'm doing this because I don't want to miss any. Alright, I'm going to share this wreath with you. And as you know, at the end, I always share some pictures of how it would look on your front door. So if you hold on a second, I'll share those. But before I go, I just want to thank you for spending this time with me. And I'll be talking with you again real soon.